best of the underground. Make madness your ritual.
What's going on, folks? It is Friday, July 16th. Hope you're doing well. I am hanging out here on a Friday evening. You know what time it is. It's Ritual Madness podcast time. And I hope you guys had a good week. Mine was crazy. It was hectic. It was kind of cool, kind of hot. Got kind of spooky at the end. Got drug tested midweek. Made a joke to the guy who was taking over for my boss while he was on vacation, and I made a joke, called him up, said, "Hey man, I gotta leave early," and he's like, "Why?" And I said, "It's raining outside," and he goes, "Yeah, so?" And I go, "I gotta go home and wash my otter." And he's like, "I'll wash your fucking otter." And next thing you know, I come back to work and I say, "You like that one?" And he goes, "Yeah, I like that. Here, how about this?" And he handed me a random drug test, and as far as I know, I passed. I studied really hard for it, so hopefully I passed. No, I'm pretty confident that I did. I only did heroin 17 times, and I only shot it into my dick. So hopefully they'll figure it out, and they'll let me be, and I'll be fine. All right, that was just out of hand. Do me a favor, check out Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated Custom Screen Printing. If you're looking to get some screen printing done, these are the guys for you. They're local here in the Twin Cities. They have fast turnaround, great materials that they use, and I recommend them every single Friday because they are my good buddies, and they will take care of you. Actually, just had the band Endless Rain put a post on Facebook asking if they knew anybody who would be able to do them a quick run with fast turnaround, and I suggested Anti-Broadcasting, and poof, off they went, and they got it done. And they were super happy with them, and I can't not recommend these guys enough. So check them out, Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated Custom Screen Printing, anti-broadcasting@gmail.com, 612-836-9488. That's 612-836-9488. And you know what's next. Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective over there in Minneapolis. Fantastic tattoo shop, a bunch of great artists over there. Jason Del Castillo has been on my podcast a bunch of times, part of the Donkey Show here, and fantastic dude. He's hilarious. Every single time we do a podcast, I am fucking dying. Stomach pains and giggles, and my face is always hurting when I leave here. And just a good dude. So please support Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective. Give them a call, 612-353-4755. That's 612-353-4755. Or shoot them an email, lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. That's lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. Don't forget, we sponsored this show right here Friday, August 6th. Over at the Club Underground, 355 Monroe Street, Northeast Minneapolis. Bad Promoter Productions presents Yasilik, Symothwa's CD release party, Semtex, gonna be kick-ass, sponsored by Lobotomy Clothes and Ritual Madness. I almost said my name wrong. RitualMadnessPodcast.com. Check out this show. It's going to be fantastic. I have put out a couple songs that Symothwa had done with 1459 Studios. They're live versions where they're doing these live recordings with multiple angles. They came out really, really good. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, go to Ritual Madness Podcast on Facebook, or you can check out ritualmadnesspodcast.com. I got them up there, as well as this flyer. All my flyers are all the flyers of all the shows that are coming into town from November all the way up till today. So there's a lot of great shows coming to town. So please check them out. August 6th, this is going to be a fantastic show. I'm a sponsor of this show, and I love all these bands on this bill. It's going to be really, really killer. And Semtex is working on a new album. Yasilik just dropped an album not that long ago. And all fantastic bands. But tonight, you're joining us. We're hanging out with the Jefe, Jeff Johnson, homie from Promidal and Solemn Echoes. That's right, Jeff?
Yes. Hello, internet world.
Yeah, woo. Welcome, dude. It's been a while, man. It seems like we haven't seen each other since well before COVID hit even.
Yeah, definitely. I'm fucking pumped, man.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
I've been wanting this all fucking week. Actually, I've been wanting this for like the last year and a half now.
Nice,
so
man.
Since the last time that we did a podcast together.
Yeah. So what's been going on with you, man? I mean, how did your COVID go, man? I know that I mean, everything shut down, dude. It was just fucking chaos. And how was it for you, dude? How'd you survive?
It was a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing in the fact that since everything was shut down and I was forced to be in a house that was under construction, I basically was able to finish up the Solemn Echoes record. And once that finally got wrapped up, that took like about 3 months, and I was furloughed for approximately 2.5 months. So that part was really cool because I made twice the amount of money sitting at home as compared to working.
Yeah.
So like I banked a lot of that shit, and that helped me get the fuck out of North Minneapolis, which at the particular time that I moved, that's when the riots were going on.
Oh, geez.
So I'm literally going down 35 with a fucking truck full of my shit, looking over to my right, looking at buildings burning and smoldering, going, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck, I'm down.
Yeah.
And then ended up in East St. Paul, which, well, that one's a long story. I was in East St. Paul for about a year. And
were you in a sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but were you in an apartment building, or were you living in a house, or what?
No, I was in an apartment.
Oh,
so
okay.
An apartment building that had its own guests, and because it had its own guests, it was really gross.
Yeah.
There is nothing worse than fucking like laying in your bed and looking up and, oh fuck, there's something crawling up the wall.
Yeah.
You know. So I had to deal with that, and lost about 70% of everything I owned.
Oh,
so,
that's a nightmare, man. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
When I was young, I had to deal with that. We lived in some pretty poor parts of town, and we experienced all those things. And I remember, when you were telling me offline about going through your gear and having to take things apart, and actually, if you wanted to salvage it, you wanted to make sure that you didn't take any of those guests with you anywhere. So it was like super important that you checked everything out. And I remember having like a game system, and wondering why it just, would shits up on me, and taking it apart and opening up and just finding, tons of bugs in it. And you know what I mean? And they just love that heat. They swarm to it, and they find their little fucking bodies inside there and, ruin your shit. And it sucks. So I know that
was just like the one aspect of it. That wasn't including like the people that were like so twacked out that they were pulling the fire alarm every month. That didn't include like some guy that broke into the building, somehow got a hold of the master key, and me and 7 other people got our mail stolen.
Wow.
Best part was at that particular moment, they ended up getting my tax return information. So I had to go jump through a shit ton of hoops to sit and make sure that somebody wasn't making loans in my name in bumfuck Idaho. So, so including like the dudes all twacked out on drugs, along with trash that was just in the hallway, fucking the air was toxic to fucking breathe, there's fucking roaches fucking climbing up the walls. Like, basically, it's like one of those scenarios that, like, if you want to put yourself in somewhere in which you want to fucking die, the perfect location for you to be.
I can imagine, you can't get a positive thought in your head because everything around you is absolutely destroyed and disgusting. And I lived in that for a long time, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not a fun scenario.
During that particular period, me and Nathaniel sat and finished our end of the Promidal record, which it will eventually come on out. I think what has to happen is we have to staple Tracy's balls to his computer seat. We have to hog tie him.
Yeah. We
have to point his face hole at a microphone, smack him upside the back of the head, and be like, "Sing, bitch."
Yeah, right.
But, we'll see what that when that comes. I love him. He's my brother. You've been having so many fucking people that have been connected to me recently, sitting and joining your podcast. Matt Parkins.
Yep.
When I first arrived in St. Paul about 13 years ago, we had a mutual buddy of ours that, well, it was a guy that I worked with, and then he was jamming with this dude's brother. And we would go in their parents' basement and do all of the things that every fucking musician does. You free jam out, you drink a shit ton of beer, you smoke a shit ton of weed, and you give each other shit along with sitting and trading licks and sitting and wanking off and being like, hey, look at me, watch me play this. Oh, yeah, hey, watch me play this. And you sit and you jerk each other off a little bit. And, so that's kind of how we started.
Yeah.
Matt's a great guy, and I'm really glad that from the point in which we were originally jamming out in our mutual buddy's basement, that he was able to sit and really kind of rise up and sit and give birth to his creation, which he has the basically it's kind of like the folkish Norwegian pagan metal thing going on. I can relate being a Norwegian. Musically, it's not really like something that I would normally do or gravitate towards, but it's cool that he was able to sit and transcend those bounds, because right about that time was about the time I was joining Devil Sex and that whole fucking crazy circus and how that went down. And
that's still one of the best unreleased podcasts I ever did, because you guys were trying to stay in character and like keep it maintained, and you were the only one that was like militant about it. Like, if we're gonna play these characters, we're gonna live this shit, we gotta like be it, we gotta do it. And then there was like Rooster fucked up, and then the other cat fucked up, and it was like it kept going back and forth, and you were just like looking at him like, you fuckers, man, come on, let's keep this going, you know? Yeah.
It was.
I think you're the one that you were the one that actually that called me and were like, dude, we had a member like jump ship. Don't release that. It's not even worth it right now, and not until maybe we can come back and do another one. That was the first time we met.
I can be vague about it now. Now that like so much time has passed,
yeah.
I'll be vague about it. Basically, what ended up happening was one of the members had a psycho woman that he was fucking.
Yeah.
That basically kind of started fucking with his head.
Yeah.
And I guess he said things. I don't remember him saying things that he thought wouldn't be cool to release because of this particular person. And yeah, I had to call and fucking cancel the whole thing. It really bummed me out, but for what it's worth, like, Devil Sex was definitely a part of my growing development.
Yeah.
It's a part of my personality that like I'm glad is over. I'm glad that I went through the experience. It definitely taught me a lot about how the music scene operates, which unfortunately we really didn't have a scene. We were basically a house band to a guy's event that he put on every year, and I played like maybe one show a year if I was fucking lucky.
Yeah.
And
that's just not enough.
One of those shows, I had all of my equipment fail on, and that was a really fun night. Yeah, I ended up like smashing a shit ton of beer bottles across the back of a fucking hallway and then sitting and fucking a go-go dancer. So yeah, so that was a fun and interesting experience.
Right. I'm guessing on the chat here on YouTube, I believe this is probably Matt. It says Run Stickman. It says that's exactly how it happened. LOL. And Arvel's basement. Arver's basement. Yeah, basement of doom is what he called it. And Adam D checking in from Forever in Gray. How's it going, buddy? Good to see you, Mr. Jeff. So you deal with difficult people in music as well? ?
Yeah. Don't we all?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Don't you have a bunch of people that like, well, okay, maybe not everybody. In my particular case now, with where I'm sitting artistically and musically, there are plenty of people that will be like, dude,
We should fucking do a band together. We should fucking play some shit together, man.
Okay, cool. You send me some ideas, and I'll sit and work on them.
And they'll be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. We're gonna totally rock out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Nothing fucking comes of it.
Right.
Nothing.
Yep.
So I'm thankful now with the success that Solemn Echoes was able to make like worldwide, which still is kind of hard for me to fathom because I mainly for a vast majority of my musical, can you call it a career?
Sure.
A vast majority of my musical career, it's been excessive failure. But I think because I've picked up the pieces from every one of those failures and I've learned a little bit more about how to be more self-sufficient and how to be able to produce a better product. I grew from that. And yeah, Solemn, like we have reviews now in like 5 different languages and we basically touched everything but like the Asian countries.
Right.
Like,
you're right.
Like that's one thing to sit and be recognized in your own little pocket of the universe with being Minnesota for what you do. When you are actually able to get reviews and you have to learn Google Translate and like positive reviews from like globally, like that really kind of like I stood in awe and I was like, holy fuck, I never expected this. Even in a niche genre, like I expected to sit and break out in industrial. I did not expect to break out in doom metal, more or less. I guess be a example of funeral doom, which is weird. I mean, like obviously you did the interview with John.
Yep.
And he had an idea that he pitched to me, and which we got connected through Will Marvalis, and which did Chalice and stuff like that. And Will, I guess, thought that I was good enough to be able to sit and produce and do keys for another project. So I'm pretty grateful to him.
And just to say, you know what I mean, to be introduced to another creative person via Will, you know what I mean, being a guy who runs a studio and has worked with the Chalice stuff and has worked with John, and having these creative failures, working very hard to put a product out, and maybe when you're building something in the early days of building a band or a name of any sort, and having somewhat failures in your music stuff, and slowly building, when you make a connection with a guy like Will, who's connected to so many people because of how good of a guy he is and how talented of a guy he is, to bring your name up and to connect you with another cat that is equally driven, you know what I'm saying, with John. Now, I've known John for a really long time, and my biggest thing is I really, really want him to get out and play. I think that he will benefit so much, not only musically, but I think personally, because I know that he has a fear of being on stage, which all of us, I mean, honestly, I still did, 20 something years into it, dude. You know what I mean?
Okay. Like when I was first doing it, when I was in my teenage years, yeah, like a little bit. Once I joined Promidal, and when I joined Promidal because of the onstage theatrics,
right.
And it was an industrial sound that I wasn't able to do with Devil Sex. Like there would have been no way with Devil Sex I could have done the sound that I've been able to do with Promidal, and I wanted to go that direction. And those other guys, they didn't. So
well, they were a lot more metal driven too, right? There wasn't, it was like they were only using you for like sounds and shit, right? There was nothing really like driven.
I wrote all of those songs.
Okay.
Okay. The all of those songs are my writing.
Okay.
The lyrics are all of my former singer's writing.
Okay.
With the exception of like 2 tracks. 2 tracks I did write the vocals to, and then he spat them out of his face hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another unreleased album. I worked like 4 years on that record, and I had to take that record and go.
Yeah. Right.
And like so many people were able to listen to it. It didn't really get madly publicized. That was one of the things that I sat and I learned from Devil Sex is like a lot of people are gonna fucking jerk you off in life, and they're gonna fucking hold and dangle carrots in front of you. And in my particular case, like they were very like lucrative carrots. And for quite a while I sat and I went along with it, and unfortunately in the end, like
it never happened.
It happened, but it only happened to one person's benefit. It
Right.
didn't happen to the full band's benefit,
Right.
and it definitely didn't happen to my benefit. So really ultimately in the end, and he wasn't the first. There was another like female fronted industrial rock project I had with Rooster back when both of us were living in Owatonna, that basically I had a remix of like previous material that she did that got sent out to some prominent people in the scene. The dude that did remixes for us was dude's like in a ton of bands. His name's Angel. He's in Dope. He's in Switched. He's in like a piss ton of shit.
Sure.
He had a collaborative project called Team Cybergeist.
Yeah.
That we basically tried to buddy up with to be able to sit and kind of get in the door, and then that worked, and then we brought her to Minnesota. A whole lot of drama ensued, and that was that. So I had another 16-track record that I went, and there went that. So like, yeah, like basically like I came from a lot of musical failures, and maybe I'm masochistic, or maybe like this is what I am meant to do, which I've definitely had to reflect on. And I think that Solemn and Promidal, both in their own respective rights, have sat and reassured me that maybe this is the path that I was meant to do, and maybe this is what I was meant to do.
Right.
And because there was a moment that like I almost gave it all up, especially during COVID, like after the Solemn Echoes record was done, and after the Promidal record was done, and nothing was happening. It was just nothing. Nothing was going on. And I knew the situation, and the clubs slowly started to fall one by one. And it was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you fucking doing with your life? Why are you doing this? What is your fucking purpose for saying the stupid shit you do?
Yeah.
So I had to think really fucking hard on that. And eventually, once things started to finally roll and get going, then the universe in its own sense started to sit and tell me, well, you had to be patient, motherfucker, because shit's finally fucking happening. So with that, like I do have some new project ideas. Unlike Tracy, I'm not going to sit and go through a whole bunch of shit out there and sit and jerk people off, because I think people have been jerked off enough. So I love Tracy. He is my brother. I love to give him shit. We all love to give him shit.
Yeah.
I mean that's what he does. He shits. And he farts and fucking like the Cthulhu lives in his asshole.
Right.
Like
So
there was a show that we ended up doing. One memory I definitely had outside of the tour thing, which of course he had to bring up. And yeah, I was locked in the fucking back of that truck, and dude's sitting and storing farts and fucking lighting that shit off. And like I had to sit with his smelly ass for 12 fucking hours while we're sitting and going to Michigan, and dude, even him and Rooster were like trading off fucking farting.
They did that on
not only
purpose,
were they
dude.
trading off farting, they were live streaming their farts as they did that. Like, we get up to go at a gas station, me and Nathaniel sit and wander in and fucking, go take a piss, go get something to eat. They're sitting out at the gas pump like, well, I just ate me some fucking Cheetos or some, whatever the fuck was at the gas station. Holy fuck, dude. And like, I'm walking back in, I'm like, oh my fucking God.
Face melters. Face melters. So Adam D wanted. He said, "Have you ever thought about quitting music because of the bullshit? Because of people draining you creatively?"
No, that wouldn't have been it. Honestly, my view on music and the reason I do the stupid that I do, and hopefully the reason that the other people that do the stupid that they do, I call it that because like I don't have like this big massive ego to thinking that my shit is any better than anybody else's shit. We all have our own shit. Like everybody has their own poop that they put in their own little shiny goop, and they sit and call theirs. So that's why I call it that. Everybody has their own bullshit. So my personal bullshit that I do is a testament to who I am at any particular time. So who I was when the first band that me and Rooster had together was Creatures of Chaos. And it was just a basement jam metal band. And I was working in a bar in Owatonna, and my drummer was like a former meth head and but that was where I was at that particular point. So it was representative of that particular moment in time. So I wrote to that particular period in time. Rarely do I sit and I go back to it. Everything that I do, I have a safe that I keep all my masters in, and I figure if my corpse can sit and last till I don't know 70, and somehow magically I have grandchildren, then I can like sit and pull that stuff out and be like, when I was your age, I was fucking listening to it. This is what I fucking made. Come listen to my stupid shit. So so that was indicative of that particular period in time. When I sat and I moved to St. Paul and I joined Double Sex, that was indicative of that particular time in my life, where at that particular point I didn't really have any kind of solid relationships. I was a man whore. And so that definitely was representative of that and the aspect of sitting and doing the whole horror movie kind of thing, which Tracy's a big avid horror movie person. Rooster is a really big avid horror movie. They're both really big avid horror movie people. I used to be. I'm not really so much anymore. I'm a really boring human being when you really boil it down. Like, if you could sit and put a real life camera on my ass, you would be bored fucking shitless.
Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do besides make music? Like, what are some of your other hobbies? What do you do?
I board game.
Board game.
Board game. It's been a hot minute since I've been able to, but I got at least a couple folks that are looking to sit and game out again. At this particular moment in time, like, it's not going to be as advantageous because now that I'm in my new spot, which is nice and clean, and I've gotten brand new toys, a brand new workstation minus one fucking part, which I totally overlooked while I was ordering monitors. So now I have to go get a $10 converter in order to be able to make one of my monitors work. But once that happens, I have to kind of dedicate myself back to making music again. Between right after the fact of the Promidal record being completed on me and Nathaniel's end, I slipped. I totally fell into, like, I go to work, I come home, I play video games, I masturbate once, take a shower, go to bed, wake up, do it all over again.
Right.
Just a normal fucking dude, and I kept that routine up for too long, and now the new place that I'm in has a workout room, so I'm starting to get into working out again.
Well, you look good, dude. You know what? You look good. You changed your appearance. You seem like before we started the podcast, you were talking about moving into a place that has positive energy, more swanky. You feel clean. You don't have all these rodents running around trying to gobble up all your shit. And
definitely. That, and I chopped my fucking hair. Like,
Tracy said normal dudes do not jerk off only once a day.
Oh, is it gotta be twice? What if I jerk off twice and then sit and shove a cucumber in my butt? Will that count?
Probably. I would say that would be normal to me, anyways. I don't know.
I think that's
what kind of
what the fucking kids do nowadays? They eat Tide Pods and watch whatever the fuck's on TikTok.
What even Jeff from Cymothwa said once amateur. Tracy said,
fucking 41, man. I'm not 20 anymore. I don't got the fucking stand about you goddamn kids have anymore. Okay, I spent mine.
Tracy says at least 5 times a day. That's what normal people do.
Oh shit! Well, fuck me. I better get on those goddamn T pills in order to be able to sit and raise my testosterone levels.
Crystal says seriously, I even do more than you do. That's good. You got a chick who masturbates more than you too, man.
Well, awesome.
DJ.
I encourage it.
Yep, for sure.
I mean, because hey, it's like either that or not.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I could shoot heroin into my cock. I mean, I'm glad we have that in common. Because if we didn't have that in common, I don't know if we could have a conversation.
Dude, 2 years ago, I actually had somebody tell me that they had heard that I shoot heroin into my neck. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I've never touched the shit in my entire life. And she was like, no, that's what I heard. I heard you were like the guys from American Head Charge and you shoot heroin in your neck. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. People talk. It's pretty funny. So I was supposed to ask you, what types of board games? D&D, Magic the Gathering, Yahtzee, Monopoly?
I am an avid Star Wars human being, so I play Imperial Assault and Rebellion and Destiny currently. I tried to sit and play X-Wing not too long ago, except for the fact that I enjoy having a roof over my head, so I'm not going to sit and go down that fucking rabbit hole. There's like a ton of rabbit holes that are tempting. They're like, please buy me.
Right.
But like, I'm sorry, bro. I gotta sit and spend my money on living and music gear and stuff like that. So like, yeah, I have to sit and spend my money on the positive things. Plus, like, put a little away,
There you go.
Because this corpse isn't going to last forever, and eventually it's going to fucking break down. And when it finally gets to that point, then I'm going to have to do the one thing I'm qualified for and don't want to do, tech support or system admin.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like, I've already had people that...
Have you turned it on and off? Have you turned it all the way off yet? Turn it off. Turn it off already, okay? Then turn it back on, and then let me know how it's going. Does it work?
Did it work?
No. Like, I'm talking like tech support on like the fucking technical level of like getting into systems and sitting and like fixing bugs and shit like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
One of my other hobbies is I'm a Linux enthusiast.
There you go.
I'm definitely a proponent of things that are anti-capitalist and things that are open source. So I haven't quite gotten to that point. I'm still guilty of using Windows for sitting and doing my music production, which if I have one tip for any of the fuckers that are sitting and watching, if you're doing music production, keep your bullshit offline. Like, whatever machine or hard drive that you use to sit and write your music on, make sure it's offline, because as soon as it touches online, Windows fucks everything. So, and not just Windows fucks everything, going to various websites fucks everything. Like, the internet fucks everything. So when I turn my machine on, it turns on and it runs exactly how I fucking installed it.
Right.
3 years ago when I first installed it. It fires up every fucking time.
Tracy's over here on the chat. He's like, you need to get Super Baked and play Candyland. And then he's like, fuck you, Jeff, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's the shit Tracy says. That's what he does. He fucking, sits and,
farts,
Cthulhu crawls out of his asshole and then plays Candyland with him, and then like fucking crawls right back up in his asshole. And, he says
okay. He says okay. I partially agree with you. Is what he said. That's the best. And Destiny on PS4, Xbox.
Destiny? I play PC games.
Oh.
As far as PC games are concerned right now, I am heavily addicted to a game called Valheim.
Valheim? What is that one about?
It's a Viking, basically think Minecraft, a Viking version of Minecraft.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
A little bit better graphics.
Oh, that sounds fun.
I've completed everything, but it's a what's the word? Brain work. It's a randomly generated world, and you can go about and explore different parts of the world. And there's, you can grow stuff. You can build things. You can build things for fucking days and ages and years. And somehow I enjoy that. I enjoy being like, oh, let me go over to this other little land, sit and crash everything that's there and go build another cool structure. Oh, well, now that I've done that, let's go to another land and sit and do the same thing. Yeah. I don't know. It sits and it keeps my brain going, in between, going home and attempting to masturbate 5 times. So
that's, I think, I hear you there. Tracy,
I got to up my game.
Yes, you do. Tracy says he keeps bobbit worms in his ass. That's what he said.
So that's what crawls out during band practice.
What's up, Big Papa? What's up? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Everybody who's joined us, thank you very much for joining us in the chat and saying hello. We appreciate you very much. We're sitting here with Jeff talking about masturbating at least 5 times a day, because that's what normal people do. At least that's what we've got in the chat here.
I feel ashamed now. I have to up my game.
Hey, Adam is telling Jeff from Simathwa. He's like, geez, Jeff, once is good enough, man.
I know, and that's what I thought too. And then the public consensus was like, you have to do it 5 times a day. Yeah. It's like, dude.
No, that's just Tracy that does it 5 times a day, man.
Well, yeah. So,
I'm so close to being done with this mask.
We're both lonely, fucking, sexually frustrated human beings that sit and make weird noises on our computers.
Right.
So it's what we do.
So what with this Solemn Echo stuff? What? So you guys just released? How long ago did you release this album?
I think it's been about 3 months now.
And you guys are getting some good feedback, huh? Endless Winter.
Yeah, Endless Winter Records.
Yep.
Originally, it was going to be released under a different record label, and at that particular time, that label was like, well, we can't sit and ship anything out of India because of COVID. And I was like, okay, all right, I get it, So because, they obviously, they need to sit and make their money, and I get that. But the way that they sat and they promoted us was, let's throw you on a compilation with 20 other jerk-offs that we're going to sit and milk money out of.
Right.
And you're going to be one of those.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, that just tanked. It tanked us. Like, it tanked me for sure. And my guitarist in Brazil. I'm fucking working with people in Brazil now. Holy balls. Like, what the fuck? So...
Yeah, that's good, man. Spreading it out. Now, explain the process on something like that, man. How does this all come together? I know John mentioned some of it, but like, how does it come together when you guys are writing a project overseas and back and forth? And I mean, are you guys sending tracks to each other or?
Let's see here. This is shit Will does like every day.
Yeah.
But basically, there's a thing called STEM packages. STEM packages are every song that's created has so many different layers of every instrument.
Okay.
And you're able to take those, extend them out, include the BPM meter that each of them use, package them all together in a zip package, and then send them online via like Dropbox or pCloud or WeTransfer or pick your favorite. And that's basically how we worked, which essentially is industry standard. That is how all industry standard producers sit and work. So I kind of had to learn that. That definitely was, once I was able to do that, that was how we operated. We would sit and message via Facebook, and then he would sit and send me his demo guitar, and he'd just do like a demo drum track. And then I would basically be like, okay, this is how I feel, and then route how I felt across each track. John kind of gave us a little bit of direction, but honestly, like, it was a part of me to begin with, so it wasn't really like me trying to sit and emulate something else that didn't naturally come out of me. So the process was easy. So, and from that, like, it kind of, after like the third track or so, like, it kind of wrote itself.
Okay. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So you guys got, I mean, once you hit strides and you knew that it was going to work between all of you guys, I mean, it just went on that.
And I think one of the more humbling aspects of sitting and working with Fabio was he later on told me that he learned a astronomical fuck ton about being a producer from me. And his newest record that he put out, like, if you listen, and this is like an EMG endorsed guitarist.
Gotcha.
When he was able to sit and put out his current record that he just put out, and you listen to the production level between that record and his previous records in which he had somebody else sit and produce, or he just produced with a really old version of it was an old version. He uses an old version of Cubase Uendo, which some people still use. I know the dude from Blue Felix sat and used that when we tracked out drums for a demo. It was like a 4-song EP for Devil Sex that we first released. We had my drummer John go over to his place and he used it. But yeah, and honestly, for what it's worth, it really doesn't matter what you use.
Sure.
The industry standard kind of sits and transcends what digital audio workstation you use. And one of my other hobbies, nerdy hobbies that I do in the music field, is study various digital audio workstations.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, I dick around with like 6 of them.
Which 6?
I had to learn Fruity Loops because of Tracy.
Okay.
Which definitely, out of all the other digital audio workstations, like, Fruity Loops kind of has its own little distinct niche on how it operates as comparative to a vast majority of other digital audio workstations. Like, the closest to Pro Tools is what's called Reaper.
Yep.
And
I use Reaper.
Basically, you have 2 choices when it comes to the industry standard in that particular aspect. Will, I know, uses Pro Tools. Awesome that he uses it. You can do everything in Pro Tools that you can do in Reaper without sitting and like selling your kidney in order to be able to do it. Because right. Reaper is like $60 and has everything that Pro Tools has And Pro Tools is a proprietary system that gets sold to various recording studios, and then those recording studios have to sit and pay a subscription fee to Avid, which is the company that owns Pro Tools, in order to be able to just fucking use the product.
Oh, wow.
You have to be online, you have to sit and update your product, you have to go by strict guidelines in order to be able to even use it.
Wow.
And I find that complete and utter bullshit.
Right.
Like, that is some corporate fuckery.
Yeah.
And it's just a way for that business to sit and bleed people of more money because they know they can.
Right. Right. It's kind of like Pro Tool or Photoshop does that shit now. It's like you could get your copy of Pro Tool or Photoshop, fucking Pro Tools, Photoshop, and now they have, you got to be subscribed to it. And if you have an older version, like they can come after you for it if they find that you're using it. I remember Jordan Swanson actually saying that about Photoshop, that if you get caught with like past versions, they can fuck with you pretty hard on it.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, if you paid for something, you fucking own it. And honestly, for what it's worth, that particular debate is actually kind of prevalent right now in the United States with the right to repair. There's another person on YouTube that I subscribe to named Louis Rossman, who is the leader of the right to repair movement. And that's a whole nother long topic. I'm not going to deviate off. Currently, right now, my main digital audio workstation is Bitwig.
Bitwig. What does that one? What does that one entail? What does that all have?
Basically, its closest cousin is Ableton. So if you know how to work Ableton, you'll more than likely know how to work Bitwig. Bitwig has its own little nuance on how it does things as comparative to Ableton. Plus, it's also one of the digital audio workstations that still supports 32-bit plugins, which I use a shit ton of. So, I definitely use 64-bit plugins, but like a vast majority of the major companies, like say fucking Pro Tools and Ableton now with its newest version, 64-bit plugins only. In order to be able to use 32-bit plugins, you have to sit and use what's called JBridge, or a bridge program, which is kind of inconsistent and kind of buggy. So it's not something that I particularly want to sit and use. The only major players right now in the digital audio workstations that still support 32-bit plugins are Bitwig, Reaper, Fruity Loops, and those are the major three.
Oh, wow.
Those are the major three that I can name right off the top of my head that still natively support 32-bit plugins, which, like, they're plugins that I've used for fucking years.
Let me back up a little bit just so we know. Now, Fruity Loops is something that you can create beats directly in that thing, right? That like you can program the beat and do different samples through it too, and hook it through a MIDI keyboard too, right?
You can do that with all of the digital audio workstations.
That's what I was curious about. So that the Bitwig one and the other ones you were talking about. Now these are all, are they similar in that you can make beats and shit with that stuff?
Fruity Loops is kind of like, it's getting closer to the aspect of sitting and being like all of the rest of the digital audio workstations that are out there right now.
Okay.
The difference is that when you create something in Fruity Loops, it has it basically has a rack that all of the plugins that you use go into the rack, and only then do they go to the playlist, as comparative to most digital audio workstations where
right.
You open up your digital audio workstation, you create a track, you put the VST or plugin that you're going to use into that track directly, and then it sits and records across, and it's solid. So it's like one VST, one fucking line. With Fruity Loops, you're able to just sit and mix and match and mash up however the fuck you want to be able to sit and do that. And if you're not working with anybody else, like Tracy did for many years, it fucking works great.
Right.
And he's able to work wonders with it. So I don't discourage him from using it.
Sure.
I encourage him to sit and learn how the rest of the world sits and works.
Right.
But he does fucking wonders in Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I've definitely pushed that. And he's definitely made strides. Now all of my tracks aren't labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I have to go through and sit and be like, oh, there's a different part in track 7. And that part belongs over here. So he's definitely gotten better in that particular aspect.
Just by the labeling or what?
No, he's still a lazy prick when it comes to that. But when it comes to like arrangement where everything's like per line.
Gotcha.
He's gotten better at that. So
Yeah.
I'll fucking say
Yeah.
that. But for what it's worth, like I kind of had to sit and learn to do what I do out of need and necessity. I started off sitting and producing things on a TATSCAM 4-track cassette recorder.
Oh, wow.
Way back in 1997.
Right.
And my earliest versions of sitting and being a producer was using a Windows 95 machine and taking a 1/4-inch to 1/8-inch jack and connecting those together and putting that into the microphone port in a computer, like a really bad computer, and then sitting and using Windows like sound recorder in order to sit and do that.
Yeah.
That was like the early, and that was fucking awesome that I was able to sit and record like the fucking wanky stupid that I was able to do out of my guitar pedal into a fucking computer. And I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But since then, like things have progressed like in leaps and bounds. And now that we're in 2021, you can basically make songs and like you barely have to think anymore. Like
question for you. So Adam D wants to know, it says, Mr. Jeff, do you prefer acoustic drums or programmed drums when recording?
Programmed. You can always go back and sit and re-record drums, but to sit and scratch out like a quick idea, I use either Easy Drummer 2 or I use Addictive Drums 2. Kind of depending on how I feel.
Just to give you a structure, or just because you don't have to have, so you don't have to have a drummer playing over and over and over again. You can actually lay it down and cut it and snip it any way you want. Then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if I have the possibility of being able to have a live drummer sit and record on digital drums, that's the most cost-effective way to do things. Now, I'm not going to sit and state that I'm qualified enough in order to be able to go into a drum room and properly mic everything and not have excessive track bleed, which is basically your main problem when you're recording drums, is you get bleed from all the other different parts of the room. Some people are able to do it really great. Will is able to do a really good job.
And that's all. That's a lot to do with trial and error with mic placement, right? And sensitivity with the specific mics that you find work best for you. Correct?
Yeah, it's definitely like something that you have to do for a while. Like you're not going to be able to just walk in and be like, I got this, and fucking, you're going to come out with the most fucked product that like the fucking snare is going to have like 3 different fucking cymbal bleeds going through it, and like you're not going to be able to separate shit out.
Right.
You're not going to be able to sit and compress your snare. You're not going to be able to compress your fucking kick drum. Well, okay, usually you can compress your kick drum only because most people just sit and shove a fucking ball mic in the fucking hole and be like, there we go.
Yeah. Yep.
So
get it way down in there.
Like that and other drums and cymbals, the hardest enemy that works against you in drum recording is track bleed.
Yeah.
So with digital drums, like the one that I have, which I'm actually gonna sell here pretty soon, which is an Alesis DM10. If you're able to set up a session and sit and lay out in the Alesis DM10's version, it would be like 8 different drum tracks, and you could sit and route everything to its own channel and then be able to sit and record. If you're able to do that, that is probably going to be the most cost-effective way that you can sit and do things outside of having your own space, outside of having all your own fucking drum mics, knowing what the fuck you're doing, knowing the acoustics of your room, and being able to sit and do it in a way that's going to suit your needs. And everybody has their own needs. And but at least as far as sitting and doing a scratch track and being able to just like quickly do an idea, definitely digital drums all the way. And for what it's worth, like now, one of the things Tracy taught me was how to sit and use VST drums. So like a lot of the VST synths that both of us use, mainly Nexus 2, the Vanguard, Solemn, and other different VSTs that we use as producer cats, they have their own drum sounds. And he definitely was using that long before I did, because I kind of came about it in the more classical sense of using acoustic drums along with the aspect of using electronics.
Right.
So because the way I figured it, or the way that I've always figured it, is that if I'm going to make a product, I want to be able to sit and have the possibility that I could replicate it live with a live drummer.
Right.
So I've always kind of thought in that headspace. But now with how I've learned things and stuff like that, like I'm slowly kind of getting out of that headspace into different aspects of using percussion in electronic music.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and electronic music in Minnesota is well, definitely the industrial scene in Minnesota is well, it's fucking dead.
Yeah.
It's dead, and it's dead for a good reason. The one of the things when it came down to it, when me and Tracy, when I first came into Promidal, and Promidal started to become more of a live band instead of Tracy's creation that he made, that I was grateful to sit and I'm still grateful to sit and be a part of and do what I do. But when it became more of a live band aspect, we started to side more with the metal scene, because the metal scene is more of a brotherhood. Like, you especially at the helm of what you do and how you sit and promote all these other bands that I couldn't even possibly dream of. There's so many fucking people, you know, all these fucking people, and like I have ideas about a few of these people, but I'm such a misanthropic fuck that sits and lives under his own fucking little routine in the world. And
yeah, but I do as well, man. There's really, you know, the only reason, I mean, honestly, dude, like I try to help everyone, because here's the thing, man. I started doing this purely on the mindset of I've been super, super fortunate musically in town. You know what I mean? Like
definitely.
I had interests out of state. I've done things out of state. I've you know, not as much as I try to push now, but my whole idea behind this whole thing was just to give back to, you know, the scene that gave me so much, you know, and yeah, a lot of times, you know, the bands that I had done were you know, local stuff. It you know, it wasn't traveling shit, you know, because at that time, you know, I had multiple shots at getting signed to major record labels, dude. I had many times I'd had chances to, and it just never worked out. And you know, you try to learn from those failures, but again, if you don't have the time to devote to going out and being on the road and just jumping in a van to you know, to spend money to try to make a little bit of money, man, you again, my premise was just to help everybody who would help me. You know what I'm saying? So me getting to know these people is all that I just want to help out, man. That's it. That's all I can do. You know what I'm saying?
And that encompasses the metal scene in Minnesota as a whole. Now, the industrial scene in Minnesota is cutthroat as fuck.
Oh,
Everybody is all about, I'm better than the next guy. My fucking hair is blacker than the next guy.
Yeah.
I'm fucking more goth than the next guy.
Yeah.
Fucking my boots are fucking taller than the next guy.
Yeah.
It's cutthroat as fuck.
Yeah.
And because it became so cutthroat as fuck, it died.
Yeah.
It died a horrible fucking death and good fucking riddance.
Well, you know what? Honestly, man, the metal scene, and I've been doing this, man. You know, in this scene since '89. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I've seen the rise and fall, the ebbs and flows, the tides come in and the tides go out multiple times. I want to say at least 4 times. And here's the thing is that, dude, it is cutthroat in this thing, but there are guys like me there's guys like me and there's guys like Will Maravellis and there's guys, you know what I mean? And guys like Rob Carlson and, guys that are trying to make this area thrive. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I would
people that are actually trying to make things thrive. That's the fucking difference between the industrial scene in Minnesota, or what was the industrial scene in Minnesota, as comparative to the metal scene, which is essentially why, like, Tracy wanted to go that direction. And it's like, yeah, well, that fucking makes sense, because fucking there are actually people that are out there looking out for you that have your fucking back, as comparative to you have to sit and try to be the top dog in fucking the industrial scene otherwise, and you have to sit and adhere by their rules probably more strictly than the metal scene. And honestly, for what it's worth, like, we're a weird amalgamation within the metal scene itself. We fucking somehow fit in. Like you sat and presented me a reward at the fucking the
Medis,
the
Medis, yep.
And it was like, how did I bamboozle all of a community into liking industrial?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, though, man. It's
like, how the fuck did we do that?
I think that wasn't that award show alone wasn't well liked either, though. You know what I'm saying? And that was shit on for 3 years in a row, man. You know what I mean?
Elitists are always going to sit and shit on that particular scene, and I hate to say it, but like they're never going to change. Like, people that sit and think within that mindset, that don't attempt to interact with the community, to involve themselves in the community in any sort. And I'm not saying I'm the best. As a matter of fact, I'm not a very good human being as far as that one is concerned. I've tried, for what it's worth, with 1459 Studios and through Zero Budget, to sit and do a few things here and there. Right. I was able to do a couple one-off songs. I did one with Greg Moog from Black Flood, which I just found out he's now doing Black Flood again, and that's fucking awesome. Yep. He approached me to sit and do a project idea, and at that particular point, like, it wasn't something I was able to do at that particular moment. He also approached Tracy to sit and do, I'm guessing, about the same idea. I'm glad that he's back doing Black Flood Diesel. It's definitely what put him on the map. He basically kind of resides within that head charge era of Minnesota.
Yep.
So it's good that he's able to sit and get back to that.
Yeah.
So, because
it's great to be able to have that that thing to fall back on for him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's really, if you think about it now, and I think about it because I was in that era too. You know what I mean? Like I was before him. I was with him. I came up with him as well, and he's one of a dying breed when it comes to that particular era of the music scene, man. You know, I want to point this out. Jeff from Simothwa says, I've survived in this scene since 95 by just doing what I want musically. You really do have to make music for yourself. And that really is the essence of being a musician and trying to, I mean, Simothwa is a fantastic band, and they're very, in my opinion, different because they didn't They didn't pull a singer right away. You know what I mean? They didn't. They just went musically and they tear it the fuck up. And here's
they have established themselves as like a instrumental
powerhouse, dude.
Thing that they do sets them apart from
Yes,
everybody else.
I agree.
And I've been able to play a couple shows with them, and that was great that I was able to do that.
Yeah,
So,
they're fantastic.
there's a lot of people that I'm very thankful and grateful that I've been able to sit and say that I've shared a stage with. So.
Well, let me answer a question here. And Adam, why did people shit on the Medis? Well, I'll tell you, because what's sad to say is that there were a lot of people that were involved in it, as far as getting the show together. The guy that put the show on, Bill Gelberg, he knew a lot of people, and the people that he knew, I guess Leo Presents and Bobby, they've always had like a bad. People have put a bad label on those guys because of the pay to play and the way the things came up, and with DJ Gunnarsson as well, because because of how he made his band come up and how he was connected to Bobby and those guys, they do corner a lot of the market. I mean, Bobby brings in some of the best acts around town, or around the nation, and brings them into to play Minneapolis. And I think when Bill got involved with it and got involved with DJ, there was a lot of rumors that because DJ's band won a lot of the awards the first year, and Bill, honestly, in talking with him and being the MC for that show for 3 years in a row, I really understood where Bill was coming from as far as like wanting to unify the music scene, and so many people on different corners of the music scene, be it death metal or black metal or anything other than the stuff that he was focusing on, which was a lot of new like metalcore type stuff, and the stuff that you really like, Adam. And because DJ and Bobby helped him get a venue to put on the show, a lot of people correlated that to him, those guys having Bill in their pocket, basically. And because DJ won so many Medis that year, I mean, he swept it, really. It was like watching, the Grammys and seeing one person that, made an album 2 years ago come in and just kill it. You know what I mean? Have like 8 of them and stand there with 8, Grammys in their thing. And people really frowned on that. And honestly, dude, it always puzzled me because Bill was really trying to unify everyone and try to get, and every year it progressively got better as far as like who Bill was reaching out to, who he was talking to, who he was and this was all of us talking and saying, hey, Bill, you should get a committee of people who are going to be from different areas of the music scene and pull it together and actually take their information and say, okay, so who released albums this year, who has been doing really well, what venues were doing really well, what things were popping off at that particular time. And there was Langen from Girl at the Rock Show was involved. I was involved. I know Dave Rabin was involved as far as like, there was Will Maravellis was one that was involved as well. And there was a lot of things in the second and third year that didn't happen in the first year that I think if it would have went the fourth year, I think it would have touched more people. And there were people that shit on it, but still showed up because they wanted to see and I thought that it was progressively getting better and better and better each year. And it was the spectrum was opening more, and there was more broadness to accepting more people in the scene. And I think that Bill had just had enough of the bullshit and enough like personal attacks on him and saying that, he was taking money and not paying people and doing all this shit and like being involved with Bobby and DJ. And, again, guys like Bobby took the brunt of a lot of this shit where they were saying it was a pay-to-play situation. And I was an advocate for Bobby because, listen, man, there is pay-to-play situations. There are people who buy onto tours, okay? They don't get it by merit. They don't,
capitalism.
Well, yeah. and that's the thing. And here's another thing, though, is that when you give somebody an opportunity to play a big show, but also make them prove themselves by selling tickets. Now, if you're putting up your money to buy those tickets, that's pay to play because you're trying to earn that money back. Or if he gives you tickets and saying you need to sell these 50 tickets, and if you sell 4 and you're still accountable for, the other 46 tickets or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That is where it becomes a pay to play situation. Now, I listen to people talk shit about him. I listen to people shit on all of his shows. I had him on the show and had people send me messages to attack this guy. And all I wanted to know was, where did you come from, dude? How did this all get together? And anyway, I kind of strayed from where we were talking about the Medis, but that is the essence of why all of this kind of gang, a lot of people jumped on it in hogpiled. This is because there were a lot of people that were involved in it that other people didn't like, and then it became a who's in Bill's pocket and who's pulling Bill's strings. Well, I was there behind the scenes with Bill, and Bill was doing what the fuck he wanted to do, and he wanted to give accolades to people that deserved it. Promidal won for, what'd you guys get, best video or something, right? You guys got 2, right?
Yeah. And yeah, we got best dressed just because we showed up.
Right.
So.
but you guys had you guys had your costumes on and had cool shit. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And that was that was what it was all about.
Outside, like drinking and bullshitting at that particular point. And they're like, "Where's Jeff?"
But that was the point, though. But see, that was the point, man. It was a beautiful thing because here's the deal. There were a handful of bands that would play, and they didn't have long sets. And yes, Bill did pay those bands. He never mentioned that he was going to pay them. People they would play for free. If the show did well, he paid them right away. And all 3 years, he paid every band. And here's the thing, man. It was like, this was me being the MC of it. I got to sit and talk and bullshit with people's moms and dads, bands that when you're in a band and you're playing in, Adam, you know this, you show up at the venue, right? You're there for sound check. You get there, you carry your shit in. You're worried about where you're going to put your stuff, where you're going to set it up, where you're going to stage it. Then you're going to get on stage. You're going to do your sound check, maybe leave it backlined and line it up, right? You're worrying about all this shit, right? You might have a drink before the show. You might not. And then you get done. You tear all your stuff down. You get it to the side. You maybe put it in your car. Maybe you leave to the next gig. Maybe you leave to bring it back to the studio and adjourn somewhere else and have a party. The Medis was a place where everybody could just fucking come and party. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was where the bands that had played all fucking year long could say, you know what? I don't have to play tonight. I can come and I can talk to these other bands and all these other musicians and fucking rub elbows with them. I saw people from every fucking style of metal, because there is quite a bit of different stuff here in the Twin Cities. I saw so many different types of people talking to each other and booking shows with each other and making friends with each other. I think there was one fight, maybe the first year, the second year, I think it was Danny Z that got punched in the face. Somebody got punched in the face, ran out the door. There was a fucking, Matt Rutherford streaked the fucking show. I mean, he almost got arrested. I mean, dude, to me, oh, dude, it was great. I witnessed it all because he came up to me. He was there in the very beginning of the show, and he was like, "I'm gonna get drunk." He wasn't even drinking. He wasn't even drunk yet, right? And he's like, "I'm gonna streak it," and I'm going, "Bullshit, you will not." And the drunker he just kept saying, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." So when he came outside, I was talking to somebody, and he looked at me. He goes, "Chilton, I'm doing it. I'm doing it." And I was like, "No, you're not, motherfucker." He jumped the fence, came back, butt-ass naked, dude, and he walked in, and I was like, yeah! So we egged his...
I heard stories about him. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I got to message his ass now and be like, dude, fucking, I just heard the story.
Yeah.
Fucking, I was talking with him for a hot minute.
Dude, the pitcher was the best, dude. The pitcher was the best because I think it was...
there's pitchers.
Yeah, My Zero. My Zero was playing. I believe it was My Zero, and... they're all full on rocking out, and you just see this fucking mammoth white boy,
Naked
dude. It is a streak. It's like they caught him in the DRI like skank pose, dude. It's fantastic. Matt's got to have it on his Facebook. He's got to have it on his Facebook, dude.
I hope he was pissing while he was doing it, just like fucking streaking and pissing.
Well, dude, here, let me tell you this, okay? So I think it was like the Aquatennial Parade was going on. So there were like kids and shit all over downtown St. Paul, dude.
For fuck's sake.
Everywhere, all day, okay? So when he did it, right? He ran up the. So listen. So it was close to the end of the night, right? So he came in where the smoking area is. He walked all the way up to the stage, ran to the stage, ran up, came back out, and the security grabbed him. They brought him out on the street, butt ass naked. And dude, what's funny is he was sandwiched in between two security guys, and the security guys were fucking all smiles, just shaking their head like, this dude is fucking nuts, right? So he was parked across the street. And dude, let me tell you this. You know how at the Amsterdam, right across the street, that hill that comes up and then flattens out right in front of Amsterdam?
I now live in that general direction.
Okay, so there was a cop. So he came around that corner, on that corner, and he was running across the street to get his clothes on. Right? He already got kicked out of the venue. He's running across the street. Here comes to the stoplight a fucking police car, dude, and stops, sees him, flips his lights on, and follows him right to his car. They arrest him. They put him in the car, butt ass naked. He didn't get any clothes on, dude. Right? Goes in the cop car.
Man.
So I'm about to go back on stage. I walk in, and there's two cops talking to the manager, and she is losing her fucking shit. She's going, he's got to get arrested. She's just losing her shit. And I go, hey, man, I know this is not my business. I said, but I'm a friend of his. I said, we were outside drinking, and we were egging him on. Like, the more that he had to drink. And the cop is looking at me, and he's got this smirk on. He's just like, I've done this before. You know what I mean? Like, he's got this smirk on his face. And I go, for what it's worth, we egged him on to do it. He really, I hope you guys could find it in your heart not to arrest the guy. He shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Dude, you get indecent exposure, man. You're like seconds away from getting
fucking sex criminal.
Exactly, dude. So this is what the cop said. The cop said, we are going to do a 2-block circle around the venue. If there are any children in the area, he's going to jail. And I go, hey, that sounds fair to me, right? The cop, I shit you not, Jeff, the cop walked out the door. A lady and her kid walked into the venue and like looking around, and she's holding on to the kid, and my mouth just drops because I'm like seconds from going back on stage, and I just go, oh shit, he's going to jail. And then after the fact, right? So after the fact, the show's done. I go home, and I see Matt on fucking Facebook Live telling the whole story, just like, yeah, so everybody said I was going to do it. And he's just fucking hammered, dude. It was it was the best shit ever. It was so good, dude. So good. Yeah.
Well, next time I talk to that son of a bitch, fucking, we're going to sit and talk about that story.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see here. Tracy says, felt like some of the musicians that were talking shit were mad because they were picked to be part of it, but these were the same people that aren't making any effort. You know what's really funny about that is that there were a few bands that were involved in it that I knew that they were going to get mad if they weren't selected for the categories, because they were elevated bands that had already, in my opinion, they were touring already. There were 2 bands that I know of that were touring bands that came back to be a part of the Medis, and they weren't selected for a Medi, and they were fucking pissed to the point where I walk past them and they're going, dude, what the fuck, man? Do you have any say in who, and I'm like, dude, you didn't get picked. Take it easy. Like, does it really matter to you that much to you know what I mean? Because you just shit talked the fucking thing before you even did it, and now that you weren't selected, now you're like really pissed off and shit talking it even more. It was pretty comical.
I got to make one personal statement in between that.
Sure.
Okay, so it's fucking amazing the metal scene even has that.
Yeah.
the industrial scene doesn't fucking have that.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, period. End of story. Like, there's ground zero, and the people that have been going to ground zero, and then there's like some fucking occasional tourists that sit and like go in and gawk. But like, the industrial scene doesn't have that. And honestly, that's where me and Tracy come from. We come from the industrial scene.
Right.
I mean, like, okay, I also come from the metal scene. He obviously also comes from the metal scene, but the core of us is industrial musicians.
Right.
Which doesn't have that. So out of all of the stories, and as interesting as they are, that at least bodes to the point of like keeping the scene alive, having people that actually, even people that shit on the Medis, like the people that did show up to the Medis, at least like there's that.
Yeah.
You have none of that in the industrial scene at all.
Sure.
Period. End of fucking story.
Right.
Like,
well, how many industrial bands at one point did exist in the Twin Cities? Because I honestly, I'm not part of that scene, so I don't really know.
Maybe I could probably count it on one hand.
No shit, huh?
Yeah, no shit. Like, we're a rare fuck breed. So, which like kind of has its own like one of my contention points, and one of the points I actually have to be really careful of when I speak of the metal scene itself, is as much as there is a brotherhood to the metal scene, there is also a lot of people that sound the fucking same.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's like 50 bands that all sound the fucking same.
I agree.
Now, one of the things that I'm grateful for with what I do is that what I have done, at least I'm going to say from Devil Sex on, is when you hear my work, it's distinctive.
Sure.
It has its own distinctive voice and vibe.
Yeah.
As comparative to a lot of the other people, which I tentatively call the herd.
Right.
And there are a lot of people in the herd.
Sure.
And they feel comfortable in the herd.
Right.
They all sit and they kind of do the same kind of guitar driven, I'm gonna outwank you kind of mentality that a lot of them other do it. There's a lot of dick swinging in the fucking metal scene.
Well, I mean, here's the thing though, too, man. I agree with you on that very statement. There are a handful of bands, in my opinion, that really stick out in our music scene, man. You know, there's a lot of, and here's the thing, like that herd that you're talking about. A lot of those same bands play the same fucking show every 3 months. You know what I mean? And it's like they just interchange those four things. And when I was doing things at Lee's, I tried to like mix it up a little bit in between there, you know? Like my very first show had a thrash band and like a doom band, and you know what I mean? Like I tried to mix it up. And I'm not the only one. There were lots of people that, you know, in the music scene that try to mix it up a little bit. And I think that is better for the music scene, man. When you
diversity is good. How
many times can you listen to the same type of band, you know, that it just sounds like the whole time, you know? There's no diversity in there at all. Now, there's a handful of bands, and I will say Promidal is one of those bands that stuck out to me because you guys were moving from the industrial more towards the metal and in the live, you know, feel of the band. I really appreciated when you were going in that direction, you know. To me, that was making you guys stand out that much more, you know. And then there's bands like I say Saimothwa all the time because musically, if they had a singer, and I'm not saying they need a fucking singer, but if they don't.
They got their shit cornered.
But if they did, okay, they would blow doors on most any band in town because they are so different. You know what I mean? Now, bands like Beastface, there's bands like Trida, there's bands like, you know, there's bands out there to me are much different than that herd. You know what I'm saying?
I also used to work with Bradley from fucking Beast Face.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing a show when I was in Devil Sex, actually, at the Hyatt in Bloomington.
Yeah.
So I kind of miss that guy. I guess he's a postal carrier now. So,
Oh shit.
yeah. So he could go postal, I guess, but not Bradley. Like Bradley's a really chill, down to earth kind of guy, and that's why I was able to connect with him. At one particular point, their singer actually was contemplating sitting and trying out doing keys for Devil Sex at one particular point, but that didn't end up working out.
Sure.
But, we did end up sitting and playing shows with him. The show we played with them was with them and Impaler.
Okay.
So Tom, who currently I believe now is with Hex Vortices.
Yeah.
Which have actually ended up the project I ended up doing with Greg from Black Flood also included him on guitars, and then Casey Harris he's from a fuck ton of bands.
Yep.
So,
Badass bass player.
Yeah, we did a prog rock song that was kind of in the vein of we based at the conception of it for the song that we wanted to do which is may not be on a Zero Budget Records compilation, maybe one day, someday, some distant future. We'll be on there. You can stream it online.
Sure.
It was a one-off that I sat and I did with them. Yeah. So yeah, all of those cats, we sat and we did a prog rock song in the vein of Catatonia.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yep. So I was able to emulate that kind of sound, and that particular song I sat and I had Casey come on by and he recorded the bass lines, and then I had Greg come on by and then he recorded the vocals, and then Matt was able to sit and give me stems in which I kind of cleaned up a little bit and was able to sit and make a track out of. So we called it it was the Frozen Expanse.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what we called it.
Okay.
And it was a song that was at that particular point, and a little hint as to what the new Promidal record may or may not sound like. I was influenced a lot by real world sounds that would tell a story. So with that particular track, it opens and I got a sample of like a blizzard, like a really, really hard blizzard that was coming on in. And I used that as like the opening to the point in which the guitar kind of came on in. And then I programmed all of the drums for it and the keys and stuff like that. And then Greg sat and did his vocal part. And it was kind of a song that was about the long, cold Minnesota winter.
Yeah. Something we know about.
Like you and me can relate to.
Fuck yeah.
But, I wanted it to sit and be representative of like a cold Minnesota winter that us fucking dumb Northerns sit and endure. So, which actually last year it was actually really light, but I mean we've had winters in which it's been a really long, cold winter for many months on end. So that was kind of where I was at that particular point with that track, and hopefully maybe it'll see the light of day on some CD somewhere along the lines. Will's tried really hard to sit and get people to sit and write with one another within Zero Budget. I tried for a hot second. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, man. So you've been playing keyboards and stuff for quite a long time, yes?
Yeah. Basically before that, I'm going to say around the time that I was doing Magenta 6, which was my female-fronted industrial project that was kind of in the vein of genitorturers and kidney thieves.
Yeah.
that was about the time that I started exploring that aspect. Before that, I was another rhythm guitar player that, you know, was just trying to sit and write chops that were good enough to be able to sit and make songs out of. But it was pretty much about the point in which Devil Sex was a thing. At that particular point, like, I wanted an industrial rock kind of sound. And my singer at the time wanted to sit, and he wanted to go like a mushroom head slash, he wanted a mushroom head kind of sound. And really, ultimately, in the end, I think that's kind of a vague interpretation of how Devil Sex ended up sounding for what it was.
Sure.
So it was right about that time, and I still wanted to play guitar. I still had that guitar player ego in me, in which was like, I have to play guitar because I have to be the guitar player because the guitar player is cool.
Right.
So, but I'm gonna write all the background synths. So I did that, and we tried forever to sit and find keyboard players to sit and fill that role live. And unfortunately, the interview that we had was one of those contestants that I tried and ultimately in the end kind of failed. So I had to play keys because guitar players, unfortunately, are a dime a dozen.
Sure.
And every drummer is in 4 bands.
Right.
So
yep, that sounds like Minnesota. Same with bass players too. Yeah.
Like, you can find a guitar player, you just blindfold yourself, spin in a circle, and throw a fucking rock, and you're gonna hit it.
So let me interject this really quick, because Jeff just gave you guys a really cool compliment. It says, Jeff from Simothwa says, I agree about Promidal live. A lot of times bands with heavy theatrics don't emphasize the tight live show, and you guys were very tight when you played with when they played with you.
Yeah. No, that was a great show. Fucking, I believe that one was in St. Cloud. So, and that was really. Okay. Since we're on that show, and since Tracy's watching, he's totally gonna agree with this. So,
oh Jesus,
Tracy. One of the things that Tracy does on stage that I loved and Nathaniel loves is he'll make a gut bag and he'll slit it open on stage and he'll let like all these guts come on out. Now, I felt really bad, and I'm pretty sure he did after he did it, because he sat and he filled it with this bacon-like substance. So when he slit it open, the entire stage reeked of bacon. Like, it was gross.
Was it like maple bacon or what?
It was bacon. Like, all you could smell was bacon. And as soon as we got off stage, dude went directly to the bathroom and just fucking.
Oh, dude. Oh.
Like I smelt it and I dealt with it. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna deal with this and keep going. And
yeah.
Fucking. Like, towards the end of it, dude was starting to lose his voice, and I think he was kind of sick that day. And after that fucking happened, and the bacon smell was just like fucking everywhere. Ugh. I felt so bad for every band that was after us, because it's like, dude, you are gonna just smell fucking rancid bacon on stage.
So let me back you up with the question I was asking before that too. So you really wanted to do the guitar thing, and then ended up having to do the keys and everything like that. What were some of the first keyboards and things that you were using? What were some of the first components that you were using as far as gear?
Oh, as far as gear is concerned?
Yeah.
I've kind of been a component of M Audio stuff. This fucking piece of shit.
It's plugged in. Watch out.
Had so much black vomit, fucking vomited all over it. Now, I'm surprised it even still works. A vast majority of my early stuff was mainly done on early M Audio stuff, because that was the cheapest.
Right.
And I was able to sit and use that. Eventually, after a while, I started to upgrade my bullshit, and this is an upgraded version of what Tracy was actually originally using, which is the Korg Nano. This is the Korg Nano Studio. He originally had the Korg Nano. It was kind of a white piece, and it didn't have like any of this right here. It was like just the keys.
Yeah.
This is actually really convenient because it's really small. I can sit and fit this bullshit in a fucking backpack along with my laptop, and then just go wherever, sit and hot plug that shit in.
Right.
Plug into a powered PA, fire up my laptop, and then boom, there's my. Yep.
There you go.
So that was a piece of upgraded gear that I got. But basically, I kind of went M audio just due to the fact of me being a poor fucker.
Yeah.
So,
but it's still functional stuff and good quality, right? You're still getting. I mean, because that's when I asked Tracy about what stuff to use, and he recommended that.
Oh, he's got a bunch of new cool toys.
Yeah.
So, he's got like Arturia stuff now. I still got better fucking monitors than he has. He's got a this monitor game, but he got some new ones. But like one of them's powered, and the other one you have to kind of daisy chain to. But I actually have to eventually, like here in the next couple of weeks, I have to like go staple his balls to his fucking computer chair and make him sing. And I'm gonna sit and record all of his vocals.
Well, dude, I honestly hope that he pulls his head out of his mask and gets over there to do some vocals for that shit. And I know you guys are looking for a bass player for that project as well, right? You guys are now.
He wants to get the guy from the Grand Demise of Human Civilization or whatever it was. I've actually never seen that project. He's kind of an older cat. I've met him once.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, and I don't know if he's even doing live shows anymore. I think he's kind of retired.
I'm told he is.
Yeah.
I'm told that he expressed interest. On the new Promidal record, I actually do bass on one track.
I gotcha.
But past that, like the rest of it's still kind of open game at this particular point. But yeah, there was one because basically after Rooster had to leave for his own I guess I can be mildly vague. He had medical issues, and actually, for what it's worth, recently, like within the last couple weeks, actually, he confessed that he had more medical issues than he really let on.
Right.
Us at that particular point.
Well, he had bad back issues and shit for a long time too, didn't he?
And the back issues actually resulted in nerve damage.
Damn.
And he started to get that going on.
Oh shit.
And now it's not as controllable as it was. He was able to hide it for a while, but
you ever see that the guy who does Steve bass on YouTube? You ever see that guy? He wears a glove on his hand. He wears a glove on his hand because his hand does that. It shakes, and because of the nerves, the pressure on his hand, by just wearing a glove on his fret hand, he actually can keep his hand steady enough to play. He said
well, it's in his pick hand.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Like being able to like accurately pick.
He should just fucking wear a mitten.
Something more difficult for him. So,
yeah, that sucks.
But I mean, dude's had like fucking 3 back surgeries, so like, I mean, it's kind of understandable. I mean,
for sure,
shit breaks.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm grateful that I'm grateful that I only have the conditions that I have, and I have a couple.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it's at this particular point in time, it hasn't prevented me from doing what I want to do musically.
Right.
So, and what I want to do musically from like this particular point forward, I think is going to definitely be different than what I previously done. As a matter of fact, I'm actually contemplating sitting and doing a more pop-oriented industrial rock record with, there's at least one guy that has expressed interest in sitting and doing that. And assuming that dude isn't full of shit, I'm going to sit and try to go down that route here pretty soon. But yeah, there's definitely been a couple people that there's been at least one dude from Santa Maria after the Solemn Echoes record was put out.
Right.
That expressed interest in me doing like another doom / black / death metal / progressive rock kind of deal. But like I reached out to dude and I was like, okay, well, I'm about ready. You ready? And I'm still waiting to hear back from dude. So it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to what I'm going to see as actually going forward.
Sure.
Kind of like as I expressed earlier, if like a whole bunch of people like, dude, we should do a fucking band together.
But have you thought about, or do you
show me work and I'll fucking show you results.
Right.
You're gonna sit and jerk me off. I'm gonna sit and say, go fuck yourself.
Well, at least you'd get at least one of the 5 that you need a day if someone was going to jerk you off.
I don't have a fleshlight, but maybe I should go get one.
Now, here, let me ask you this though. So, do you have solo material? Because you said you played bass, you played guitar. Like, why not try to make a solo album, man? Why not try to do something like full on just Jefe shit?
I'm not gonna sit and be like, I'm not gonna sit and announce that anything's official until it's 90% done.
Sure.
Like, if I start in on the process, I'm going to make a Facebook post that says I'm baking the cake.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit and show you things along the way until it's officially done.
Well, I have a friend that's doing the Grief Collector thing, and he found one other guy, a guitar player, and then hired a badass vocalist, and now they're signed, and now they're about to start touring here. So, I mean, it's a great idea, man. You might as well fucking...
Like, I have ideas, and we'll see how they turn out on the new Promidal record. Tracy actually sat and talked about a couple of them during his podcast, and where basically, since we are like a Lovecraftian kind of act, where what we draw from is that like unknown horror, cosmic unknown horror kind of aspect. And in my opinion, and which he stated on your podcast, was if that is the direction that we're choosing to go, we need to make a story, our own story in that world. Yeah. And I'm allowing because Tracy is the vocalist and because he basically is kind of the mastermind behind Promidal, I give my input. And with this next record, I'm giving more input than I did during Magnum. Yeah. It took a couple fights between us, but after we sat, had our dick swinging competitions, and then finally came to agreements that like we both love each other and we should be together forever. Then we finally fucking decided that we could be on a little bit more equal footing. So I've definitely contributed more to the next Promidal record. And in that, I want him to be able to sit and write a story, and I want us to have a narrator. I want it to be a concept record. Actually, for what it's worth, I want it to be the most epic artistic thing that everybody within our project has ever done. Right. And be able to sit and raise our own personal artistic bar when it comes to that particular aspect of things. Right. But we'll see how it turns out. I kind of also, in essence, sort of in my own way, want to do the same thing. How I sit and I go about doing it is going to kind of, we'll see how it works. I'm not going to jerk people off and be like, oh, yeah, it's coming next month. I'm going to say that when I feel I am ready, which is going to be real fuck soon, to sit and write new material, if I'm able to sit and write the concept that I have in my head out, and I'm able to make it a concentrated product, then I will sit and compile it together. I have 1459 studios in order to be able to distribute it.
Right.
Plus, I also have McGovern from Solemn Echoes that he's also stated on your podcast to, be like, hey, I know a whole shit ton of people across the whole
he
bunch
certainly
of genres,
does. Yeah.
and I may take him up on that. Well,
multiple countries, man. That dude's got connections all over the fucking place, you know?
Dude, that fucking blows my fucking mind. I'm working with motherfuckers in Brazil and shit. Fucking.
Well, you know what, man? I honestly want to get him on stage, man, because I think it's damn time that he does.
I think the thing that me and John have in common is we have our own mental deficiencies. He talked a little bit at length about his. I'm not gonna lie, like us people that sit and do this shit, like that are highly artistic, have our own mental health problems.
Yeah. I agree.
They kind of comes hand in hand. Like genius doesn't come without torture.
Yeah, I know.
So
I mean, look at me. I'm a fucking genius over here. I know what you're talking about.
Well, artistically speaking, like I guess that's subjective, but like
I got you.
All great minds have not been without their own sense of torture. I mean, fucking Einstein couldn't keep his goddamn zipper up, but he could sit and create the theory of relativity.
Right.
And honestly, for what it's worth, those are the type of minds that I attempt to subscribe to more than anything else. Like I look up to the deep thinkers. I look up to the Neil deGrasse Tysons. I look up to the Brian Greens. I look up to the Dr. Michio Kakus of the world, more than anybody else, actually, as far as like the concept of not only reality, but of art. And then as far as like my artistic influences, like I'm a stupid Devin Townsend fan. Like I listen to a very excessive, stupid amount of Devin Townsend because he's an artistic genius.
Right.
So, and he's also a person that even though his knowledge of what he does and his humbleness of who he is as a human being is really not only who I connect with, but a vast majority of his audience connects with.
Right.
So it's being able to do multiple genres of his creative thought, which I, in my own way, sit and attempt to aspire to. Like Promidal is one aspect of my mental personality.
Right.
And Solemn Echoes is another aspect of my mental personality. And what I create next will be another aspect of my mental personality.
Right.
And being able to sit and document that artistically, I think is really important. And people like Devin Townsend, I think, were one of the major driving forces behind me sitting and being who I am. And I draw a lot of influence, not only from him as a songwriter and a producer and just an all-around humble Canadian fucker, but a lot of other Canadian artists like Skinny Puppy and Frontline Assembly, which is where a vast majority of my influence comes from, actually, is Skinny Puppy, Frontline Assembly. Thankfully, I was grateful to be able to sit and play a show with Velvet Acid Christ, which is another one of my major influences. I totally stole dude and picked his brain in a basement while getting him drunk on vodka for about 2.5 hours. And some people kind of got mad about it, but I don't give a fuck. Yeah. So like, and then as far as my metal influences are concerned nowadays, like Fear Factory, the new Fear Factory record, like I listened to a shit ton of new Fear Factory record as far as metal is concerned.
Who is singing for them right now? Is it still Burton C. Bell?
He stepped down.
That's what I thought.
They like really right now, all the problem with Fear Factory is they got wrapped up in legal entanglements.
Okay.
Their former bass player and drummer sat and vied for rights for like the entire band, not including what they did in their tenure.
Sure.
They wanted full control and be able to sit and get all the income and stuff like that, to my knowledge.
Right.
Not that I'm any expert on this shit.
Yeah.
I got just as much information as you do.
Sure.
Just my interpretation of it. So after so many years of being tangled up in legal entanglements, I think towards the end, Burton was just like, you know what? I've been doing this shit a long time, and now I'm caught up in a whole bunch of legality, and to the point in which I can't really release music anymore under Fear Factory. So you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm done. I'm gonna go do Ascension of the Watchers. You fuckers go sit and fight it out amongst yourselves.
Right.
And eventually,
virtually, it's
Dino,
just the rest of the fucking band against Dino is what it is.
Dino now owns 100% of Fear Factory, the rights to Fear Factory.
Right.
So it is now Dino's
Well, it's
show.
kind of been his band the entire time, though. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but he even stepped out. But even once he stepped out, freaking like fans kind of fell back. Like when Archetype and Transgression came on out, those were very two distinctly different Fear
albums.
Factory
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Comparative to what Dino did while he was in the band.
Yeah.
He is also the main influence behind why I started playing 7-string guitars.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Killer band, man. I seen those guys a long time ago. Well, hey man, where can people get your Solemn Echo stuff and the Promidal stuff? Where can they hear your body of work?
They can hear my body of work. For Solemn Echoes, you can go to the Endless Winter Records website and sit and buy that there. You can also if you do a little YouTube research, you can just listen to the whole fucking album for free. For Promidal, we have Bandcamp sites, and I'm pretty sure you can get a vast majority of that from there. I don't know actually if our record got released on YouTube or not. I don't know. I know not the Magnum Tenebrosum, but the previous record.
Yeah.
Actually started getting pirated in Russia.
Nice.
So
that's good shit. At least it's getting pushed around, though. You know. At least it's getting pushed around. That's good. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you being a part of this show, man, and coming on here and doing this show. It was too much of a break between us doing this shit, man. It was a blast.
Dude, frickin', I missed you, bro. Fucking, I wish I could have came down to the studio today, but unfortunately circumstances made me sit and do this through my phone.
It's all good, dude. It's all good. We'll have to have you when you and when you get John, who actually said he does want to get on stage. John says hello, John Suffering. If you guys, get some shows together, if you get, new material, when Promidal, when you guys get, Tracy to sit down and nail his balls to the chair and get him to sing vocals, we'll bring you back in.
Solemn's and Fabio's expressed interest in coming to America to sit and do a Solemn Echoes show. I can't, until that becomes more reality, I can't really speak on that.
Sure.
For Promidal, we have to make a ritual to pull Cthulhu out of Tracy's butt and sit and once that finally comes about, I'm sure he'll squawk about it. So,
well, man, then we can do this shit again, brother.
Most definitely.
Well, I appreciate you, brother.
Awesome, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being you.
No, I do this for everybody, man. We do this together, right?
Yes, definitely.
Hell yeah. Well, stick around for a second here, buddy. I appreciate everybody taking the time to listen this evening. I appreciate you all very much. Thank you very much for all the subscribers on YouTube. If you haven't had a chance to check us out, you can always go to ritualmanispodcast.com. We have all the past episodes up there loaded, ready to go for you. There's 237 episodes. This is 238 in the books. And again, I appreciate y'all for coming in. Don't don't forget to check out Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated Custom Screen Printing, antibroadcasting@gmail.com, or give them a call, 612-836-9488. And as always, Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, give them a shout if you're looking to get some tattoo work done. They have some fantastic artists down there. 612-353-4755 or lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. Also, people in the chat are saying that Jeff needs to masturbate 10 times a day just to keep it going.
Motherfuckers, I can't fucking hit that shit.
Also, don't forget, Friday, August 6th at Club Underground, Cy Mothwa's CD release party. We are a sponsor, and Lobotomy Clothing is also a sponsor. Yasilik, Cy Mothwa, and Semtex, all at Club Underground, Friday, August 6th. It is 7 p.m. doors, 8 p.m. show, 21 plus, $5 at the door. You can't beat that. And now that we've got live shows again back on the planet Earth, come and join us and have a good time. I'll be at Slam Dakota tomorrow. I'm going to get on the road here and head down towards South Dakota right now. As a matter of fact, I'm driving 2 hours to Windham, Minnesota, and I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to do some pictures and do some photographs and get over to South Dakota, some Sioux Falls for the Slam Dakota Fest. If you want to come down there, come hang out with me. I'll buy you a drink. Again, Jeff, thank you very much for coming in, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Everybody, have a good night. Much love. Thank you very much. Peace out.
Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness